you can see, I am Colonel Sanjeev Govila. I did HDMC 3 here and conducted a similar lecture about 2 years back. The lecture that I am going to conduct, I will show many of you might not have heard such a lecture where we talk only about you and nobody else. This is financial management but confined to personal financial management. I'll straight away launch into it without wasting any time. This is how I'll conduct it. Wealth creation concepts, big words, wealth creation, but we actually will talk about wealth creation. Asset classes, meaning is where all can you invest your money. So we'll take each one by one, talk about the good, bad and ugly part of each, how to plan for your entire life. Again, big words, but very simple. And what is the meaning of comprehensive financial planning? Meaning, what is meant by planning for your entire life, for yourself, for your children and thereafter. Main important in this, I will like to talk more about how to get into that mindset. That will be my ending. Okay. This is where we are. Which road do I take? Where do you want to go? I don't know. It doesn't matter which road you take. If you don't know where you are going to, it doesn't matter. We will try to chart out that path where we want to go. There is some problem with this. पूरा नहीं आ रहा है. Now, can Faujis be wealthy? Very emphatically I say, yes, why not? Faujis can be wealthy. They sometimes seem to be two contradictory statements, but nothing wrong about that. If we do these three things, first is correctly identify life's financial goals. Somehow, somewhere we mistake investments with only making money. If we look at it holistically, what are investments meant for? Investments are primarily for you to meet your life's requirements. If you see very, very pragmatically, I'm not talking ideally. If you look at it very pragmatically, if all your requirements for you, your obligations, for your children, everything is met, does money have any other role in your life? No, it doesn't. So that is what main thing in life is, to correctly identify life's financial goals which take up a whole lot of your money. Identify correct investment avenues. Where should you put your money for each of those financial goals, and most importantly, aggressive monitoring thereafter. I was sitting with Commandant just now. He said, when the Sensex was 12,000, I put my money in mutual funds. When the Sensex reached 20,000, my money was still there. It didn't increase anymore. Because this step was probably not followed through. So, it is not the investment avenue which is to be blamed. Probably the investment avenue, whatever it required, was not followed through. I talked about goals, financial goals. What exactly is meant by that? What are our financial goals? Step one, and the most important, is insurance. It is the protective shield for the family in case of a mishappen. This is the most important part. Is our family protected? Suppose something happens to me, will all our dreams, all our plans fall down like a pack of cards? Should not. That is what step one will ensure if you've done it correctly. Step two, from here I think you'll be able to identify children's graduation of the higher education. In our mind, and I think in everybody's mind who's here, this is the most important thing in our life. Buying own home, biggest investment in our life. Children's marriage, especially given our society, daughter's marriage, own retirement living expenses. This is something, we generally forget. When we are in Fauji, we say, when I retire, I'll get a lot of money, I get a good pension. But do you realize that your pension will always be fighting a losing battle to inflation? Remember that. Your pension will never increase at the rate at which the inflation will gallop. So, relying entirely on pension for the purpose of meeting your life's requirements in your golden years. And how long golden years? Not talking about the elite crowd here, but generally in the armed forces, most of the people retire at 54 and very few of them would get good jobs after that. When we do the planning, we take life expectancy to be 85 years. That means we are talking about around 30 years of post-retirement living. Even if that is not so, one will get a job, second career till 60 years of age. So 25 years of life living is what we are talking about. When expenses will only increase. Why they will increase? Social obligations, you get more time to go around, you would definitely like to have your golf round, you would definitely like to sit in RSI or DSOI or whatever and have a good life in general. Okay. Step 3, property for investment. We say that when you retire, you should minimum have 2 properties. One to stay in, one for the rent. Why? Rent in India increases at the rate of around 10% a year. That 10% will add on to this and ensure you have a better living. And then of course you have other goals, holidays, domestic or international. You would like to change your car every 8 to 10 years, lifestyle goods, never ending lifestyle goods keep coming in the market, flooding the market. Why shouldn't you or your children or your grandchildren have them? Let's see you. Okay. Now before I launch into that, I would like to talk about 3 basic financial concepts. First, human financial life cycle. As you can see here, our financial life can be divided in 3 phases. Phase 1, a student, basically a consumer, not producing anything, only consuming. Second, phase 2, everybody in this hall, including me and very senior officers, they are all in phase 2, when you earn the most, consume the most, and you have the capacity to cater for this phase 3. So, you've got to be very, very careful in phase 2. You have a good life. There's no point in having a great future if you are starving yourself today. You should have a good life today and a great life later. So, this, when all your major financial goals come up, is also the time when you have to save prudently for this. When your income has drastically reduced, when your expenses have not reduced that much. Second, the mighty power of regular savings coupled with compounding. Just look at this. You all must have heard about, in your school you've done compound interest and simple interest. Everybody knows that. Albert Einstein said, compounding is the 8th wonder of the world. Why? Because it increases your money in a manner nobody else does. If we look at investing just 10,000 rupees per month in a disciplined, regular, consistent manner, then these are the kind of returns that you can get. 10,000 rupees today you might feel, but let's say 2 years later, 10,000 rupees will not sound that great. If you continue, you can have such a big focus even with your DSOP. And if you are able to get 12%, then this is what they will get you. And the third and very, very important concept is value of money over time. You all would be doing future value, present value, NPV, IRR, XIRR, all that. You are all doing that. So very easy for you to understand this concept. If we take inflation to be only 8% per annum, and we say that your monthly expenses at home is 30,000 rupees per month. This is how at 8% inflation, your expense per month will increase. Not impressive? Okay. Let us look at it in another manner. If you have 1 lakh rupees with you today, put it in a box, open it after 20 years. The purchasing power of this 1 lakh rupees will be equal to just about 20,000 rupees 20 years later. So the value of your money has depreciated to 1/5. This is very important, very important. Why? Say an LIC agent comes to you, not LIC, insurance agent comes to you. साहब आपको इतना सा देना है, you got to give some 3,000, 4,000 rupees per month. After 20 years in this money back policy, you will get so much of money. You should be there. Do your NPV calculations, or mentally at least, and you will realize that 20 lakh rupees that he is saying 20 years later is just equal to 4 lakh rupees today. So does it make such a great value? You might come to a conclusion it doesn't. See this. Do you see beyond the obvious? Bank says double your money in 8 years at 9.2%. Of course, right now banks are not giving 9.2%. But even then, if I take this high thing, and inflation is 8%, your 1 lakh rupees in 8 years at 9.2% will become 2,02,000 rupees. But the value of 1 lakh rupees today is equal to 1,85,000 rupees at that time. Whatever 1 lakh rupees can purchase today, you require 1,85,000 rupees at that time. If the inflation is 8%, that means actually your money is only increased by 17,000 rupees. And we are not even talking about the tax that you will have to pay on this additional 1,02,000 rupees, which will amount to about 28,000 rupees if you are in 30% tax bracket. You know what I am driving at is, this is how you need to evaluate every investment option or avenue that you are faced with. If you want to get somewhere else, you must run at least twice as fast as that. How do you evaluate an investment option? 3 basic pillars. Safety. Should be safe. You know, just before I was coming here, somebody rang me up from Jinja. Sir, Muthoot Finance is coming out with NCDs, non-convertible debentures. They are giving 12.5%. Should I go for it? I said definitely go for it if you want only your interest back. Money, your capital, I don't know whether they will give it back or not. So, safety. Liquidity. There are lots of people who said either it's property or nothing. So you will find those people will put a lot of money in the SOP and a lot of money in property. So they have a huge amount of value with them. But if that person wants 5 lakh rupees for his, say sons or daughters education, he doesn't have 5 lakh rupees. Because property is essentially poor liquidity. Returns, all returns you should try to see that the returns are inflation and tax adjusted positive, if possible. So SLR, you can very easily remember that. Safety, liquidity and returns, evaluate everything on that parameter. Now we come up to what are the various avenues in which to invest your money in. Insurance. We take insurance first. The protection shield missold for commission. What is the sole aim of insurance? Insure. It is not to make money. Remember that. However, in India what happens? No company sells it as an insurance. They say, आपको अपने बेटी का मैरिज का करना है, इंश्योरेंस लीजिए. You want your son to study abroad, take insurance. You want to construct a house 15-20 years later, take insurance. Why do they do that? Because nobody thinks he'll die. Somebody else, everybody else dies, but you don't die. So the concept of saying that you might die someday, maybe prematurely, so buy insurance. It doesn't sell. And because it doesn't sell, they use these props. So what we are doing there is mixing insurance with investment. Not a good thing at all. Why? Why is it not good? I have taken LIC, but whatever is true of LIC is true of Bajaj Allianz, ICICI, HDFC, Tata AIG, whatever, Tata AIA, sorry, and whatever. They are on the same lines. Money back policies, I am very sure at least 50% of the people sitting here might be having that. What is the return? The company has designed it for a 6.07% return. Why don't you know it? Because you have never been pitched that insurance policy by the agent with a return perspective. They never told you. They only said, साहब अभी डालोगे इतना हजार इतना लाख रुपया मिलता रहेगा. But now that you are well equipped with Excel and other tools, if you calculate, you will find the returns coming to you are actually 6.07%. Not even a 0.01% more. And others also you see. And look at this, pension products, 4 to 5%. The government had told the pension providers, insurance pension providers, to give a guarantee that they will give 4% return. All of them stopped selling their pension products till the government withdrew that all. You see, they can't even give a 4% return guarantee to you. Look at this. Money back policy versus mutual funds. 35 years of age, insurance 2 lakhs for 20 years, yearly premium 13,128 rupees as on today. And the agent has sold that policy saying, sir, you will get 40,000 rupees each at 5, 10 and 15 years. After 30 years, 20 years, you will get 80,000 plus bonus of this. Sounds very, very good. That in 1 year, you just have to pay 13,000 rupees. Barely 1,000 rupees a month. The total return is 4.8 lakhs, but when you take time also into account, you are getting this. If I give you an alternate, term insurance, what is term insurance? I will tell you just now. You take a 2 lakh rupees term insurance, same as this, premium is 923 rupees per year for 20 years. Balance this, if you invest for a huge period of 20 years, mutual funds will at least, good mutual funds will at least give you 12% and you get 10.72 lakhs. Now what is term insurance? Term insurance is plain vanilla insurance. No adds debts, nothing. Like your car insurance. If you pay the premium for your car insurance today, nothing happens, do you get any money back? You don't get. You get a small bonus, that also after 50% there's nothing. So when we accept it in car, why don't we accept it with our life and save a huge amount of money? So term insurance is, something happens, you get the money, nothing happens, you got to pay the next premium. Some people are averse to it, they say, yeah, paisa barbaad ho gaya. I'm not getting anything back from it. But the moment we get into the mindset of expecting something back from insurance, we say, okay, I'm a loser. Similarly, unit-linked insurance plans, huge charges in initial years, more so for policies taken prior to October 2010. After that, the government has capped the charges, still they remain quite a bit. Compulsory charges, other charges as they occur, and general poor performance. Last year we did a research and we found that out of thousands of ULIPs in the market, just 4 had given return more than 8% and 1 had given return more than 10%. That's all. Pension plans equally bad. Do we need pension plans? Not at all. The pension that is given to us by the government is fabulous. Excellent pension. Plus, most important part is there is a DA component to it. In these pension plans, if you start getting even 5,000 rupees per month whenever your pension plan starts, for the rest of your life it will remain 5,000. Whether it is 20, 25, 30 years, whatever, it will remain. So you can imagine what is the worth of a 5,000 rupees or even 10,000 rupees per month, say 20 years later. Now we come to, after all these negative things about insurance, we come to this, how much insurance do you actually need? This is actually sort of an international parameter. You need 10 times your current annual income if you have lots of liabilities, children are young, wife may not be able to earn in case something happens to you. And 7 times if the children will be financially independent within next 5 to 10 years, you have already made your house, wife can earn if something happens to you. And extrapolate in between as per your condition. Does not mean that this is sacrosanct. If there is somebody who's taken a huge amount of loans, there have been so many cases where when we do the financial planning, sometimes we suggest the person to take more than 1 crore of insurance. Because if something happens to that person, whatever are his assets will go off in paying off the loan. AGIF cover of rupees 50 lakhs is inadequate in most of the cases. That's what we have found when we do the rigorous financial plan. For how long to take insurance? There is a second aspect. Generally it is decided by the agent. He says, "Saab 15 saal ka le lo, 20 saal ka le lo, 25 saal ka le lo." But do we need to insurance for that long a period? Generally not. You should see when is your youngest child expected to be financially independent. Once your children are financially independent, in most of the cases, no insurance is required. After insurance, I come to equities. Equities, this is the general retort whenever we say you should invest in equities. One group, they are very risky, don't touch it, stay away. Another group, oh, it's great for making quick money, make quick money with it. Are these two right? Both of them are incorrect. Neither equities are as volatile as it is made out to be, nor are they a tool for punishment. Look at this. Why should you go into equities? Equities produce the highest long-term returns. Anybody looking at very, very short-term, put in money today and take it out after one week or 1 month or 1 year, might happen. Sometimes it might be beginner's luck. Most of the time, it's a lot of grief. When we talk about long distance, see, inflation, gold, G-Secs is government securities, government bonds, bank FDs, equities. This is data about Indian economy. So, but to stay invested. But does staying invested mean you buy a stock today or you buy a good mutual fund today and forget about it? No, it is not so. Like I said, monitoring. The second slide, I said monitoring is very important. Whenever you are looking at getting a return more than what government provided instruments give you, it is not fire and forget. Definitely not fire and forget. If you fire and forget, might fire or you might have to forget it. Performance over past 30 years. See, where does equity take? You see this huge, dance over the ages. This is what equities is. If we zoom it on, you'll find inside also there is huge amount of volatility. Lots of people get unnerved with that. So if you are up to it, equities are for you. You see the difference. Current value of rupees 100 invested in 80-81. You see the huge difference. This is the reason for you to go in for equities, provided you are up to it. So, if that be true, should I simply jump into equities? Risky in the short term, generally less than 3 years. If you have some financial goal, some requirement coming up in next 3 years, my advice, stay away from equity, whether it is direct purchase of stocks or it is equity funds, because it requires all these things. How many of us can do it? Very difficult. Is there a way out? We know equity gives good returns in the long term. So if you are planning for retirement, you are planning for a house 10-15 years later, or we are planning for our child's education, say 7, 8, 10 years later, definitely equities. But these things I can't do. So, is there a way out? Yes. Mutual funds. What are mutual funds? We are here, equity market is here, we want to invest it in equity market, but in between somebody called a fund management house, asset management company comes in, likes of HDFC, ICICI, Canada, SBI, you name it, they are there. 42 fund houses are there in India as on date. Approximately 8.4 lakh crores is invested in mutual funds. Total open-ended and closed-ended, approximately 17,000 schemes are there. 1,400 equity mutual fund schemes are there. What are the advantages of mutual funds? Very, very liquid. 3 days your money can be back unless it is in closed-ended funds. You can do a monthly investment. You can start it, stop it, increase it. You want to take out your money, part of it you can take out. You want to take out the complete money, you can do that. Mutual fund spectrum is wide. As you can see, debt funds, absolutely risk-free, investing in absolutely safe avenues of bank FD, company FD and government bonds. To the other end of thematic funds, which are very, which could be for the adventurous, those who are ready to take a lot of risk with them. In between there are all kinds of things. So all these things make mutual fund investing very convenient and very easy. Tax advantage, I would like to bring it out here. Equity funds, after 1 year, for all the gains that you make, the tax is zero tax. If your 1 lakh rupees becomes say 1,20,000 rupees after 1 year, 20,000 rupees, the gains that you get is tax free, provided you are there for 365 days plus. Debt funds, after 1 year, something called indexation comes in, maximum tax that you pay is 10%, and with each passing year, the tax reduces with inflation. So maybe that after 4 years or so, 5 years or so, again the tax will be zero. Past returns from some mutual fund schemes, these, please remember, I am not advocating any of these schemes. I have just written some good schemes. Yeah? They might not be the best schemes. The light blue, these are pure equity schemes. You can see if you go for long term, you can get very good returns. And this is the data as on 31st of July when the markets were in very bad shape. Dark blue, these are the ones which are a combination of debt and equity, and the green ones, these are pure debt with no equity component at all. A comparison, LIC, DSOP, NSC, KVP, PPF, all these combined, 8%, 6.07%, and long-term equity mutual funds, 12% is easily available, long-term. Now, one thing, this slide I wanted to show to you, I generally don't show it in most of the presentations. There is a word going around, India's story is dead. This is a comparison of 11 countries across the world. The only country missing, prominent country missing is Hong Kong, but other major countries, stock markets of the world are there. And this is the data over last 7.5 years. You see, where does India figure? Out of 7.5 years, in 5 years, India is number 1 or number 2 in terms of returns. But, caveat, in others, it is at the bottom of the stack. This is what we are talking about, equity markets only here. So, top, bottom, top, second, bottom, top, bottom. This is what, if we look at it on year-to-year basis, we should be prepared for if we are talking about equity. But when we are talking about long term, then it evens out. This slide merely tells you that you've got to be consistent, patient, and have a long term view. This does not show how much money you will get over a period of time. This slide shows if you invest 1,000 rupees per month, and if it long term, if it gives you 15% per annum, so, and you plan to invest till 60 years of age, then how does a late start affect you? If there is a guy who is 25 years of age and he puts in 1,000 rupees per month till the age of 60, that means for the next 35 years, he will accumulate 1.48 crores. But if he is late just by 5 years, only by 5 years, the corpus that he will make reduces to half, 70 lakhs or so. Another 5 years, 32, 33 lakhs. This is why long-term investing, cumulative investing, we started as early as possible. Are we all late? No, they are very long life. Not even reach half the mark. Okay. After equity, I come to debt products. What is the meaning of debt products? These are the steady, comparatively safe instruments like provident fund, small savings scheme like this, bank, post office, company FDs, debt mutual fund, short term, long term, and the government bonds and likes infrastructure bonds and all these. They also all get clubbed in this. These are the ones where you can be sure, reasonably sure rather, that you will get a almost steady return. Returns are moderate. However, post-tax returns are very important. Like I showed you, bank FD, bank promises you certain rate of interest, but how much will come in your hand is what matters. Got to look at that. Post-inflation, post-return, post-tax is what matters to you. Almost all debt products are now market linked. This market is not equity market. These are the government bonds. They are called G-Secs. G-Secs, 5/10-year interest rates is what is determining the rate of interest of all this, including DSOP. You know DSOP interest has come down slightly. So it will keep coming down as the interest rates go down. They are no longer fill it, shut it, forget it. And remember, debt products are wealth preservers. If any of you is thinking of creating wealth with debt products, might be in for a shock later. If you don't look at the total money, but at the value of that money which you have. The meaning of this is, could you imagine earlier that a flat in say Delhi NCR will cost at least 50 lakh rupees, let's say 10 years back? No. That is what is the erosion of money, value of money. Earlier we were talking about 15 lakhs and 20 lakhs, now it is 50 lakhs. So if somebody told you 10 years back that you will have 50 lakhs with you, you would have been happy, because in your mind you would imagine that it means 2.5 lakhs for me, when today is not even 1 lakh. Important issues to consider in debt products: taxability. Bank FD with even 9.5% of interest actually gives you 6.56 in hand if you are in 30% bracket. Same with post office schemes, company FDs, government bonds, all these, unless they are tax-free bonds. So that's where tax-free bonds, like there is a spate of tax-free bonds right now in the market, that is where they scope. Debt mutual funds attract maximum, this I have told you. Debt mutual funds, you gain triple fold because the interest rates are slightly higher, likely to be slightly higher, there is a tax advantage and all that. So I would actually recommend to you to consider this avenue if you want to be absolutely safe in certain investments. Look at this. Here annual FMP. FMP is fixed maturity products, which are closed-ended products like bank FD. Put in your money and you come out after the period, whatever is the period. So if a bank FD is giving you 9% and a debt mutual fund is giving you 9%, effectively here you are getting 5.94% and here 8% because of the taxation part. Even the return in both is the same. After this we come to real estate investment. This is the third class we are talking about. Fourth class. A real estate investment, your own house. There's no pleasure, there's no bigger pleasure than walking into your own house, own first house. It is a physical asset, unlike equities and debt and all, which are financial assets. These are physical assets. It's an excellent tool for income tax planning. Not go into it, but I'm sure most of you might be knowing how can you do your very good income tax planning with this. Buying for your own use. Normally you buy real estate for either of the two things, for your own use or for investment. Now, this is where the problem comes in. Most of the armed forces officers confuse between the two. When you buy for your own self, then what matters? What matters is how big is the house, how big are the bedrooms, does it look good, how is the neighborhood, will you get the facilities that you want, how long is the commute, is it near main business areas or things like that, what is going to be the neighborhood like? These are important aspects. But when we buy something for investment, we apply the very same logic. It doesn't work. It doesn't matter how big is the house. Even if it is single room and gives you good rent, good. What is the problem? It may not look good. It may look like a DDA flat. Doesn't matter. As long as it's appreciating in value. So try and differentiate between the two, your own house and a house for investment. House for investment or even commercial property for investment, all that matters is location, 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 nothing else. If it is good location, then it's a good investment. Not a good location, then it is just a white elephant for you. And last is gold. All that glitters is gold, as you've seen in the last 6 months. Gold, which was 32,000, 24 karat kind of gold, 32,000 a tola, went down to around 25, but it is back to 30, 28 to 30, fluctuating. But remember, it is a wealth preserver rather than a builder. You cannot, or you should not try to build your wealth with gold. You may get it, you may not get it. Now, ways to accumulate. Jewelry, possibly coins, gold ETF or gold mutual funds. These are the ways. Jewelry, how good? Not for investment. If you are collecting jewelry for your wife or for your daughter's marriage, fine. But as an investment, no. Why? Because you are not sure of purity, you have problems of stocking it, where will you keep it? Always those issues are there, and when you go to sell it, then whatever that red, blue, etc. which is inside, which was sold to you at the weight of gold, with the weight of gold, when you go to sell it, firstly he will take it out, saage to patthar hai, and then he will pay. So when you are buying expensive because of making charges and all that, and when you are selling it cheaper. So jewelry cannot be a good investment. Bars oblique coins, again, in spite of, I'm sure many of you would be having those coins bought from banks, ICICI, HDFC, Axis Bank, etc. But let me stick my neck out and say it is not a good investment. Why? When you buy coins from a bank, generally it is from banks that people buy, you may not be aware that you are paying a premium of at least 8 to 20%. 8 to 20% of that day's market price is being paid by you as premium. And when you go to sell it, banks are not authorized to buy it back. So you will go to a jeweler. Jeweler will say, "Saab, aapne mere se to liya nahi hai. So I'll take commission from you." So again, buying it costly, selling it cheap. Not a good way to accumulate money, accumulate wealth. So, what is a better way? Gold ETFs, exchange traded funds. It is virtual gold. Buy it on the stock exchange, buy it online, buy it at the day's price. When you want to sell it, you can sell it within 5 minutes of buying also, and it gets sold at that day's, rather that moment's price. A still better way, gold mutual funds. They work in the same manner, but here you can go in for SIP, systematic investment plan. You want to put 1,000 rupees per month in gold, you can do that. Or you want to put 50,000 rupees per month in gold, you can do that. Bought and sold again like gold ETF only. The only problem is they charge 0.5% commission extra. Gold ETFs generally charge 1%. These people generally charge 1.5%, but that depends on the fund house that you are dealing with. Thus, this is the best way, and you can accumulate, you can buy in 1 or 2 grams steps also. So, best combination for you for protection. Term insurance plan, after calculating your protection requirement, after calculating your insurance requirement, and this is apart from what you are getting through AGIF, AFGIS, NGIS, etc. Most of the people do require additional insurance. For investment, DSOP to a limited extent. Why limited extent? We say that you should generally not go beyond 10 lakh rupees in DSOP, because the additional amount that you are putting there could be put to a better use somewhere else. Take slight risk with it. Make your money grow. DSOP is just cancelling inflation, nothing else. Your money is actually, you feel your money is on a treadmill, but remember, in treadmill when you get down, you are at the same point. You have not gone anywhere. That is DSOP. Real estate, definitely, but don't go gung-ho, all out, all guns blazing over it. Some gold definitely should be there to stabilize the portfolio. Definitely not. This is the list which I have covered in my lecture so far. Direct equity, very, very difficult for at least Faujis to. I did it for approximately 25 years before I realized that I reached nowhere. Time, energy, money. I made huge profits sometime, huge losses sometime. In the end, it was not worth it. Mutual funds, many of you might be having mutual funds, but remember a portfolio approach. Portfolio approach means taking good mutual funds from various categories of large cap, mid cap, small cap, balanced, gold mutual funds, making a proper portfolio as per your risk and requirements is a better way, rather than just doing a Google search which are the best performing today and picking it. Two other important aspects of life. Will, that is with services headquarters, is generally not effective for non-services assets. Just imagine something happens to you, Will your wife be able to get that bill from the services headquarters, wherever it is? In Army's case, it is with AG's branch. Will she be able to get it from there in time? Make a comprehensive bill. Why not? I made mine in 1991 when I was in Army headquarters in Delhi. Very easy. Anybody who wants it, just give me a mail. I'll send you a suggested format. Will has no format. Will does not require registration. If you do it, it is one more protection step that you've taken. But actually, tearing a paper page out of your kid's notebook, writing will and writing something and signing and two witnesses signing is a perfectly legal will. Charity, you should do it. Getting good pay. Online is possible if giving it physically is becoming difficult. Online and that too on regular basis, very much possible. Good for you, good for your children who try to emulate all that you do. This is where I consolidate age-wise my recommendation. Years of service, why peg to years of service? Because this is how we get our money. Property, first house, second house, third house. How many of the people sitting here are reaching that stage? See, first house is for yourself, second house is for rent, and third house is for that daily evening pay. With some good snacks. Gold also you should have, and DSOP, try to limit. DSOP is very, very good, very safe, tax-free returns, everything is going for it, but too much money into it might be actually killing your concept of wealth creation. Retired or retiring officers, I think I'll skip this. Last point, last aspect that I'll cover is financial planning, but since not much of time, I'll cover it slightly in a hurry. Why financial planning? You should have good control over your finances all the time. You would be better prepared for contingencies, you would be able to optimize returns, a discipline is required which all of us always have, and right time, right amount for the right purpose should be available. Like I said, I gave an example. A person, huge amount of money in real estate, but doesn't have the money when he needs it. Why financial planning for services people? Very limited domain knowledge in the community, very limited. Don't discuss money in the officer's mess, don't discuss money in the office, don't discuss money anywhere. So we don't know about money. Frequent dislocations, planning continuity always at a risk. You are in Delhi, you are in some good place like Secunderabad and all, you get good access, good advisors, everything. What happens when you get posted through Karu? Remote stations, restricted availability of advice and products, and a semi-literate, ill-intentioned insurance agent becomes our financial advisor. Exposure to considerably more risk to life, no doubt about that. I don't need financial planning. What all points do you relate to? Strike support somewhere? If I don't have enough to retire on, well, I won't retire. It's not an option available to you all. I don't have time, constant refrain. What's the guarantee of returns? आज के ज़माने में guarantee नहीं मिलेगी कहीं. My parents never did financial planning. I need very small amount after retirement. Oh, we invest in properties. Why do you have to look somewhere else? These are the things. Okay. All those are actually, reasons that we give more to ourselves than to anybody else to not do a proper financial planning. When I get time, I'll do it. That is the constant, how we remind ourselves. Now, what exactly is financial plan? I will explain to you slightly hurriedly through a plan that we made for one officer. What are the steps to a financial plan? I am explaining to you so that if you are not able to get a financial plan made for yourself, at least start thinking on these lines. Collect. What are your personal, of course you don't have to collect, you know your personal particulars. How much do you earn? Self, rentals, vice income, agricultural or business income, if any. How much do you spend? Household expenses, EMIs, social obligations, telephone, fuel, leisure, multiplexes, all that. What investments and assets on date, property, insurance policies, all these things, and what requirements and dreams for future. Last one is very important. What are you planning for yourself? What kind of life do you think you want to lead? Where do you think your children should be studying? When would you like to change your car? Personal financial goals till 85 years of age should be ascertained. What is going to come up? We constantly, keep having even, brigadiers and major generals who are just retiring, haven't made a house. 2 daughters yet to be married. These kind of things, we are always confronted with. Determine what will be met and what not the way you are earning, spending and saving today. Make a roadmap on actions to be taken now. Do you have a lot of junk in your portfolio which you would like to throw out? Or have you done nothing beyond DSOP? This is what you have to think about. And if above actions are taken, how will my own attainment status improve? I'll just show you. Very, like a financial plan that we make generally consists of about 45 odd pages. I'll just show you 4 or 5 of them. Income and expenditure statement. This person, whosoever he is, this is the income, these are the expenses, this is the committed saving like he is giving in DSOP, 2.16 lakhs a year. And what are the other repayments for housing loan, for a loan taken for PC, Jeevan Suraksha policy, regular repayment for AGI subscription, all that. After that, what are you left with? That lower part is income. What are you left with every year? You might be surprised from this step on, first step onwards. You may have not realized that actually after leading a good life, after good investments, after everything, you still have some amount left which you can invest. Remember, I am saying after leading a good life. You're living in present, nobody lives in future. These are the cash flow projections that are done. Second is net worth statement. This means if everything you have is sold off and all loans that you had are settled today, what will be left? Whatever is left is actually what you have created in your life so far. Sometimes, surprisingly, a negative balance is left of an officer. Why? Because huge amount of loans. We had one officer who got posted to Delhi and he got so much carried away by the property, talk which goes on, especially I've seen in MI Directorate, that, he bought 2 properties, huge properties, and didn't have much left to eat. Really? So, those kind of things, and when we calculated his net worth, it was negative because of the big loans that he had taken. Would you believe that he was paying 65,000 per month as EMI? And this is the most important part, financial goals. This person has a son and a daughter, so this is the priority of goals. These are the goals, various goals that we made out for him, for his life. And then, is he likely to meet those the way he is earning, saving and spending today? This is what we came up with. Up to here, he would meet it. Retirement living expenses. When you are old, and have reasonable expenses, we calculate that you would only be able to meet 40%, mere 40% of the income. I'm not trying to scare, it is just facts. Purchase of car, we said every 10 years you should purchase a new car. He would have to take a loan every time if he is to put his dreams into action. You see, whatever is red is what he is not going to meet. At somewhere here, 72 years of age, if he is not able to meet his expenses, what will happen? Can he go into the job market and take up a job? Or will he keep requesting his son or daughter to funding? And this is a final statement which you should make. Do like this. Do like this from now onwards. All of you are very aware of SWOT analysis. So what are my strengths and weaknesses? Balance will take care of themselves. And action matrix. This is what matters. Keep doing each, and like most of us never think in terms of emergency fund. If something is lying in the bank, good. Otherwise, चल जाएगा, किसी से ले लेंगे emergency आकर. Okay. With this, my proper lecture finishes, and I'll also like to show you, not because my website is very beautiful, but I would request you to go on to this. We have written a lot of things here only for armed forces officers, and a large part of it stems from my thesis which I did in HDMC 3. My thesis subject was personal financial management for Indian Army officers. So lots of it you will find it here. Here we talk about how to take the best of insurance, a broad custom plan as per your life stage, a quick advice as per your personal style, children's future planning, how should you go about it, retirement planning, how should you go about it. There's a blog that I regularly maintain, and I keep writing on this myself. We have Facebook presence where we every day in fact on Twitter, we give out at least 2 to 3 tweets concerning personal finance, and of course they get mapped to the Facebook. With this I finish. Questions, please. I'll only request for one thing, that I am here as a guest speaker, so please don't ask anything about my company or its products and services. It should be about personal finances and questions of concern too. Any questions about anything that we've said, or even about taxation? I didn't cover it because it's a very big subject, but we can definitely cover it in questions.
Professor, I'm John. I had a small question, sir. Is it really important to work after you retire? I was thinking that once I retire, sir, I'll not work anymore. I'll sit back and work. Is that a dream, or is it actually a reality with the kind of pension we get? Assuming that we have a house of our own and we don't have a liability like our government to manage us.
Very good question, and the dream question for everybody. See, it is entirely dependent on you. How much requirements do you have, and what have you done with your finances? This is, I would rather say utopia. You really have a golden retired life. Who would want to do this, right? But recently we did, some small level financial planning for a lieutenant general. He said he is retiring in about 2 months' time. He said, when I retire, I need about 85,000 rupees per month for myself. Me and my wife, we have our own house. When we went through his finances, we found nothing resembling that 85,000 per month of inflows. If you have planned well and you got plenty of time, let me tell you, you all get addressed as senior officers, but you have lots of time on your hands even now. So if you plan it well, why shouldn't you have it? You can definitely have it. Of course, you got to fight after the initial excitement of just doing nothing, it doesn't remain excitement after some time. I've seen a lot of people who started off with this and then later on said, yeah, घर में बैठा बैठा क्या करूँगा? I have to listen to my wife all the time. So they took up. But if you can do this, why not? Definitely you can do it. You just got to balance your cash flows, not have too many ambitions that I only, if I have to have my lunch outside, then it can only be a 5-star deluxe. With good, reasonable amount of living, you can definitely achieve. Is that?
Mr. Captain HP Singh, sir. The most important aspect, what I have understood is that aggressive monitoring which you brought out. Now, all the points are already covered, like, because of transfers and lack of knowledge and all, it's not possible. So I'll not ask you about your company here, but what I'm saying is, if we come to you, you start the portfolio, then we'll be regularly updating our this thing, or what I'm saying is it's a lifelong interaction.
It is about my company only. Yeah, we aim to do that. You can interact with us, you can send us some mail on that. But I have not shown it, this contact part for you to, for this purpose. We actually, I get lots of personal calls from officers all over, whom I've never met, I might never meet, I don't know. But, छोटा चीजें जो होती हैं, जो अब now being in this field is very, very small for me. But for that person sitting in a way out place, they are major things. So you can interact with me anytime.
Mail which I should get from you, I should think that it's a spam, so I should
We do a lot of spam, but only to armed forces officers. Like last night, we have sent a mail about how to retire gracefully. These kind of things we keep sending, and they are oriented. I purposely kept my company only for armed forces officers. So, any other questions?
Uncle Naveen sir, can you explain the taxation policy, sir, when you sell a house? In case that's the only property that you got, or else you got another property also, and what are the investment options after that?
Okay, only on sale of house?
Sir.
Okay. See, when you sell a house, if you have held that property for at least 3, I am taking that it's a fully constructed house, right? It's not an under construction property or something. If the property is constructed and it has been in possession for at least 3 years, then under income tax section 54, it gets classified as a long-term gain. I'll explain with an example. Let's say you had bought the property, say 5 years back, for say 30 lakh rupees. Now 30 lakh rupees, because you are selling it after holding it for 3 years minimum, and it gets classified as long-term capital gains, whatever, and say you have sold it for 50 lakh rupees, so 20 lakh rupees of gain that you made gets classified as long-term capital gain, LTCG. The gain actually is not, from loss point of view, 20 lakhs. There will be something called indexation which will be put on. Indexation in simple terms means, if you bought a property for 30 lakhs, say 3 years back, that 30 lakhs is worth much more today. So there is a table called CII, Consumer Inflation Index Table, which government takes out every year. We have to calculate what is the worth of 30 lakhs of that time today. It might come out to be, let's say, 37 lakhs. Your gain, actual gain, is 50 lakhs for which you have sold, minus 37 lakhs. So your gain now is 13 lakhs. That is the gain part. What are the avenues you have to save tax? If you invest in another property, residential property, not in commercial, not in office, nothing. If you invest it in a residential property, within ready-made property within next 2 years, under construction property whose possession you will get in next 3 years, or even if you have invested in a property 1 year back, within last 1 year. So -1, +2, under construction +3. If you invest this 13 lakhs, remember 13 lakhs. Not 50 lakhs, not 20 lakhs, 13 lakhs. No tax. If you do not wish to buy a property, then you got, and if you just want to save tax and do nothing else, then there are something called capital gains bonds, which are classified under income tax section 54EC. If you put the money in that, we are again only talking about 13 lakh rupees. Those capital gains bonds give you 6% interest per year, very low interest, and the interest is fully taxable. So effectively you get 6%, if you are in 30% bracket, 6 minus 30% of 6, that means 4.2% interest you will get. But you are locked in for 3 years. After 3 years, when you get it back, it's totally taxable. This is, these are the two options you have. If the sale has taken place before 3 years, it is called short-term capital gains, STCG, and whatever gains you have made, here the gains are for short-term capital gain purpose, it is 50 lakhs minus 30 lakhs. There is no indexation available. So 20 lakh rupees will be added to your income. Simple. Sorry?
Reinvest that money in the same fashion?
No, nothing is available to you. It is directly, tax. It gets added to your tax income. You can do whatever you want. There is no other tax advantage available to you.
Good afternoon, sir. My question is, sir, in case I sold some shares in which I lost money, can I offset it as negative income in my annual tax statement, sir? And how to do that, sir?
Okay. Now, it depends whether you held those shares for 1 year or not. If you held those shares for 1 year, say, actually it is not 1 year, it is 365 days. If you held those shares with you for 365 days, no relief is on. Why? More than 365 days, if you made a capital gain, if you made a gain, it is tax free. So by the same logic, if you made a loss, no advantage. But if you held it for less than 365 days, it gets classified as a short-term capital loss. That short-term capital loss can be offset. These are slightly heavy, this thing, I hope you grasp it. This short-term capital loss can be offset against any other loss and any other gain, short-term or long-term, that you make, even in property. Suppose you made a gain in property, right? Long-term gain और short-term gain. अगर आपने 3 साल से पहले उसको बेचा है and you on the other side you made a loss in short-term capital loss in stocks, mutual funds or anything, then it can be offset. If you are not able to offset it that year, you can carry it forward for 8 years, provided you are filing income tax. If you are missed out filing an IT return, then that very year that carrying forward will stop. Or if you file the income tax return after due date in the year is generally 31st of July. It might get extended by 2, 3, 4, 5 days. Like this year, the due date was 5th of August. So you have to file the income tax return and within the due date. Then you have this advantage of capital.
So good afternoon, I'm Kanjal Ravinder. So we have seen the difference between the debt mutual fund and the FDs, the rate of returns. So how much is the safety factor between how safe is the debt mutual fund as compared to the bank FDs?
आज के जमाने में गारंटी मांगना गलत है. FDs, corporate FDs, and DSOP, PPF, NSC, National Savings Certificates, older Kisan Vikas Patra, which are no longer there, absolutely guaranteed returns. When you've invested, whatever is the rate given to you, you are locked into that. And because you are getting a guarantee, so the returns are less. you know, the way the finance minister calibrates it or finance ministry calibrates it is, they will generally keep it less than inflation. Guarantee चाहिए, कम return लो. सीधा सा principle. When you go into debt mutual funds are essentially market related, interest rate related. Means if the interest rates keep falling down, जैसे like now again it is going to happen. In debt funds you might get 11 to 12% long-term gains, long-term returns. If the interest rate is going up, you might not get even 8%. So mutual fund is a game of monitoring, whether it is debt fund or equity fund. But debt mutual funds have a class called accrual debt funds. Accrual debt funds only invest in paper. Paper is the word we use. In papers which are long-term papers and fixed interest papers. If you go to the bank and invest in a FD today, the bank might give you 8.5, 8.6% today. But imagine if the same mutual fund goes and invests say 1,000 crore rupees, obviously they'll get a better deal. So if you go into long-term accrual debt mutual funds, you are likely to get much better return and safer than these other DSO. I know I have confused you, but this is the way it is.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Colonel Sanjeev Govila, sir, and my question pertains to the term insurance plan. So you have highlighted that most of the officers who are being covered by the group insurance companies of the services are inadequately covered, sir. However, therefore we need to buy additional covers, term insurance.
Yes.
But when we approach either the LIC or private insurance companies about the term insurance plans, they do not offer in their terms and conditions the war risk as well as the risk being covered in counter-insurgency operation areas.
Agree.
Which is a reality today. So how do we negate that?
You cannot. Simple answer. Like, we keep reviewing them. About 2 weeks back, we again thought we'll look at each and every major insurance company and see whether they have started covering war-like conditions or not. We could not find any. So, none of the companies come.
Related to this, in case there are number of accidental policies which are available with the office. For example,
Most of the savings bank account nowadays offer you the accidental cover on a little premiums. So let's take it, there are 7 to 8 accidental policies available. Are all of them equally applicable to the officer in case there is a demise in accidental cover?
Yes, absolutely. See, when you have anything other than a person's life, there can be a value put to it. Say your car. Let's say somebody goes ahead and takes 2 insurance policies on his car. Incidentally, you can do that. There is no bar on it. But say there is an accident and the total value of the damage is assessed at say 2 lakh rupees. And you've taken 2 car insurance policies. Both the insurance companies will share this 2 lakh rupees. You will not get 2 lakh rupees from each of them. However, in case of life, nobody can put a number onto, how much is my life worth? Nobody knows, even I don't know. So there is no limit. If you've taken 8 policies with say 2 lakh each, 16 lakhs, all 16 lakhs will be given to the beneficiaries. There is no bar in that. But remember, an accidental death policy is only for accident. Only for accident. Fine? It does not cover, say, a prolonged illness. It doesn't cover. It has to be a violent, untimely death, and the death generally should take place within 2/3 months of the incident taking place. Say, somebody meets with an accident and that chap becomes paralyzed and the death takes place say 1 year or 2 years later, not an accidental. There are lots of ifs and buts.
So I'm Colonel Fauji Initiatives. My question is again about insurance. We see a number of policies and emails and ads these days, but we also read, we come to know that the settlement rate of most of the private insurance companies is very low. Percentage wise, I think it's in single digits. So there are a number of unwritten sort of laws or rules or whatever, and the person who's to receive the insurance, except for I'm told PLI, the other things it is quite a problem, even if there is slight misrepresentation of facts at the time of buying the insurance. And most of the time, like all of us do, the agent fills up the form. We don't probably go through the file. So do you have any tips on, especially in term cover, anything to do?
Tips को चुटकी बोलते हैं ना? Okay. See, firstly, I'll contest a few things you said. None of the insurance companies has its claim settlement ratio. This word is called claim settlement ratio in single digits. None. Even the worst of the companies has at least 38% as of today, which started business recently. Okay. Good companies, LIC, has got it in excess of 98.5% today. There are, whenever you choose a company, or rather before that I would say, misrepresentation, intentional or unintentional, even the best of the company will never pay. Because whenever an insurance proposal comes to the company, there is a huge department called the actuarial department. These guys are sitting there and doing this day in and day out and based on statistics. So they do a lot of statistics and decide whether this guy should be covered for the amount that he is asking for or not. When they cover it, it is based on the premise that whatever information has been given is correct. एक बार cover हो गया पूरा तो वो lock हो जाता है, right? You cannot make an amendment to it except changing address and all those peripheral things. The company cannot make a change. So, insurance is always a matter of trust. See, look at insurance in this manner, that you are transferring your life's risk to the company. If you look at it carefully, this is what insurance is. You have transferred your risk to the company. So when they are taking on the risk for a small amount, then they have to be fully in. So even LIC will not. That part aside. The points to be kept in mind while taking an insurance is, first and foremost is claim settlement ratio. LIC top class. Number 2, ICICI Prudential. Number 3, SBI. Number 4, HDFC. Number 5, Bajaj. I don't look at anything below that. Second thing you have to see is how big is the company. Size-wise, LIC incomparable, because they've been in business since 1961. Then is ICICI. These are the two biggest ones. After that come the smaller ones, SBI, HDFC, Birla Sun Life, but a very, very bad company to go ahead with. But size-wise, that is what it is. Third, branch network and quality of service. I would place ICICI as number 1. Number 2, I would place HDFC. Quality of service. I mean, nothing may happen to you, but every year you get, a lot of tension while interacting with the company. It's not good. So these are the aspects that you have to see. As far as we are concerned, we looking at the amount of premium to be paid and the service network and the claim settlement ratio and all, I feel that overall I would put ICICI as number 1, HDFC as number 2 and LIC as number 3. LIC only because their premiums are very high. Why their premiums are very high? Because they pay a lot of commission to their agents. So obviously it has to come from premium. However, when we talk about term insurance, my recommendation is only take it online. Some people have a misconception that in some manner online is inferior to offline or going through the agent. Nothing like that. There is no, not even a single word of the policy document taken online or offline is different. And online would take you say about 15-20 minutes to take, and it would be cheaper by 30 to 40%. Like you see, after my premature retirement, I took insurance cover for 75 lakhs. For I think I am paying about 22,750 as the premium per. If you take any of the other policies, you might be paying 2 to 2.5 lakhs per year. This is the difference between term plan and other policies. Postal life insurance is a very, very, again, there is nothing called service. And postal life insurance is actually administered through LIC. You may feel that it is the postal department which is administering it to you, but actually they got a link up with LIC.
Sure. Sir, I am Kal Laraj. My question pertains to the house loans. I just want to check about the applicability of income tax benefits for the second loan in case you take, while the first one is still on. Are there any conditions attached to it, or is it applicable?
Yeah, this is a very good question, which lots of officers have misconceptions about. Firstly, I want to make sure we are talking about residential property and not commercial or office. Commercial or office, no tax relief is available of any sort. Now, you can, like when I talked about property, I said it is one of the best tax planning method. You can take 20 loans for 20 properties and take tax benefit. There is no limit. Under income tax section 24B, there is no limit which is laid down. But how does it work? Firstly, if you understand the background, why it has been given like that, then you would understand better. See, India has a lot of housing shortage. So, and a person can live only in one house. If you make 3 properties, obviously 2 more properties you will give out on rent. So 2 more people have got housing. That is the genesis for giving income tax benefit for housing loans. Right? As far as government is concerned, they are not able to provide housing to all. They say if we give this benefit and people because of this benefit construct more properties, good for us. Okay. Now what is the income tax benefit available? For your first house, if all the tax benefits are available only after possession. I am aware of lots of income tax filing agencies in Pune. I am talking about army officers. वो से साहब ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता है. आपको पहले साल से ही हम आपको देना शुरू कर देंगे benefit. But remember, you are signing the declaration. Effectively, you are saying that the house is in possession with me. When you take income tax benefit, even after your house is not ready. So you are signing a false declaration. The consequences, if at all anybody detects it, are for you to face. Okay. First house, if not given on rent, is called self-occupied property. For self-occupied property, after possession, the income tax benefit is only on interest. Interest portion is limited to 1.5 lakhs. Right? If you are giving interest more than 1.5 lakhs, it gets capped at 1.5 lakhs. For every subsequent property, There is no limit. If you are paying 5 lakhs as interest, all that 5 lakh rupees will go away, will go from your gross income. So you can imagine you are saving a huge amount of tax. But the rent that you receive from the second property is to be added to your income. If you say there is no rent, then a notional rent, what would be applicable for that type of house in that locality is added to your income. You know, go back to the genesis of this income tax. Government ने कहा हम आप दूसरा घर बना रहे हो, giving it to somebody. If you are not giving it to somebody, face the consequences. For the third house, for the fourth house, fifth house, same thing is available. For the home loan, we are talking only about home. Okay. Now the caveats, 2, 3. First, which is a self-occupied property, you can change from year to year. 1 year you can say this is my self-occupied property, second year you can say this is mine. No problems. Self-occupied property does not mean you have to occupy it. It only means it is not on rent. You are allowed to say that for 1 house. Third thing, when I talk about this, then I am only talking about interest. As far as principal portion is concerned, principal portion gets covered under section 80C. It is the same section in which your DSOP, AGIF, PPF, LIC policy, insurance policies are all that are covered. So that is why we generally don't talk about principal part, because 80C में 1 lakh की limit आपकी कब की क्रॉस हो जाती है. आपने अगर now the AGIF is 5,000 rupees per month, so 60,000 तो उसी में हो गया. DSOP if you give even 4,000 per month, you are across the 1 lakh. That is why principal we don't. Right? So this is the what is the but remember, this is a very important point, that only after completion. Sorry, just one more important aspect. What happens to the interest portion that you paid before completion? That also, the benefit doesn't go away. What happens is, let's say your house is getting constructed, you get the possession in September 2013. This month you got the possession. That means you got it in financial year 2013-14. Say you took the loan 3 years back and you paid total of, let's say, 2 lakh rupees as interest till 31st March 2013, which is the previous financial year. This 2 lakh rupees will also be available as a rebate to you in 5 equal yearly installments, starting from the financial year where you get the possession. That means when you file the income tax return of this financial year, next year, then 2 lakh divided by 5, which is 40,000 rupees extra benefit you will get next year. However, if it is for a house which is self-occupied, the total will still not be allowed to exceed 1.5 lakhs. Sanction? या थोड़ा ज़्यादा हो गया?
This second property issue. Let's say the second property that you had is a joint property with your wife. However, you got a loan on your wife's name and she's paying. Now when you file your returns, the benefit goes to her totally?
The benefit would then go to her totally?
Yes, absolutely.
And connected to that is also, if you have to, once you get possession of both the houses, can she show that as self-occupied and you show yours as self-occupied?
Wife is a separate entity. She is absolutely separate entity. But remember, in that case, her name would be first. Otherwise, bank will not give her loan. See, the simple guiding principle is who's paying for the house. If you both are jointly paying for the house, then the income tax benefit will come to you jointly in the ratio in which you are paying the EMI. If you've got a joint name, say you and your wife, which happens in most of the cases, wife is not paying anything at all, but the officer wants to, claim the income tax benefit in wife's name. Not allowed, you may do it, but if it gets discovered, it will be claimed back by the income tax department with 5,000 rupees plus 500% penalty. Yeah, there was somebody there.
Okay, just ask last question. Somebody was standing already.
Sir, Karan Sathe, could you throw some light on HUF and the benefits of it, sir?
Yeah, this is getting into some serious financial planning stuff. HUF stands for Hindu Undivided Family. Hindu Undivided Family concept came in because this concept started sometime in 1948 because there were huge amount of families which had property which belonged to nobody in particular but to everybody in general. And property doesn't only mean real estate, it means all the गांव की खेती है, सारा पैसा आ रहा है. Who does it belong to? It belongs to the family or to community and all that. That's where Hindu Undivided Family things started. There are lots of things to it, Hindu Undivided Family plus Hindu Succession Act, which is applicable to Hindus, Sikhs and Jains. All that is also there. Talking only from your point of view, some people think that if they make a Hindu undivided family in their, let's say, with their nuclear families, it will benefit them tax-wise. It might benefit them, but it may not be worth the effort that you will put in. Why? For a Hindu, or rather I will say, for a HUF to work, there has to be some property. When you transfer a property to HUF, it is out of your ambit forever. HUF cannot be broken. You asked the question, no? HUF once created cannot be broken. Whatever property you have transferred to HUF cannot be claimed back. So it is there forever. If you don't put any substantial property under HUF, I mean, suppose you with your wife and 2 children make a HUF, and let's say you have a real estate property, some gold and some stocks and whatever, financial and physical assets, you transfer it to HUF. Firstly, they are out of your hand. They have to be substantial to generate adequate income for you to claim that taxation benefits. What is HUF is? HUF is a virtual person, which means you have in your family created instead of 4, 5 people. And the 5th person, his income tax bracket starts like yours. Point understood? So, say you transferred your one of the real estate there. एक घर को आपने transfer कर, and from that house you are getting rental income. Rental income, if added to your income, becomes 30% tax. In that case, it will start from 0 to 2 lakhs tax free, 2 to 5 lakhs 10%, 5 to 10 lakhs 20%, and beyond is 30%. So you get an advantage there. But the property is gone to HUF. Right? Is it worth the hassle? You cannot get it back. There is no way. It is HUF property, and HUF technically never can be liquidated. Fine. As long as in the entire family there is at least one person. Till 2005, till 2005, it was a male member. Because till 2005 only male member could be something called Karta. 2005 Hindu Succession Act underwent a change wherein daughters were also added. So now in the entire family, even if there is a single member left, HEF will work. So it's too much of a hassle to go into HEF mode for claiming a small tax. There are other things available, right? So forget about HEF for most of the people. These are good for, let's say, Marwadi families, where actually there is no division possible because it belongs to everyone. They have advantage. For very, very big business families, where creating a HEF creates a virtual entity, a virtual tax entity, a virtual personal entity. HEF has its own PAN card. It has to have its own bank accounts. You know, that's how it works.
Well, gentlemen, I'd like to thank Govila for an interesting and interesting talk covering the vast spectrum of the kinds of the savings, etc., how to do the planning part of it, which is the most important. And the following, and especially lastly, the important word he said was aggressive monitoring and not merely monitoring. Thank you very much once again. It was a nice exposure to, I'm sure, most of us. I request you to accept a moment of